A friend of mine came to me and he says, Mark, there's a problem with elder abuse. I don't know if you know about this, but us baby boomers, as we get older, and I'm on Social Security and I'm on Medicare, we're the largest subset of elderly in the history of the world. I don't know if you know that. And way back then, people were already starting to take, this is 25 years ago, people were taking advantage of the elderly. And this friend of mine said to me, you know, it's really bad at this one particular case in Rhode Island. I love Rhode Island, by the way. I love it, I love it, I love it. It's beautiful. I love everything from Providence to Newport. I love Rhode Island. Been there so many times. But it's the most corrupt state in the United States. You may not know this. A mayor of Providence, Rhode Island by the name of Cianci was put in prison for corruption. The town wanted him out so they could reelect him. And they got him out and he was reelected. That's corrupt. You know, when evil blinds itself to evil, that's corruption. And so that's exactly what happened with this guy, Cianci. So my friend was trying to help these people with this elder abuse situation, but the attorneys it is one of the few states where an attorney can write themselves into a will. I mean, that's how corrupt it is. So he was trying to get attorneys to help him with this corruption case, couldn't do it. So he asked me if I, with my foundation, would help out, and I said yes. And so at the time I was co-chair with Schwarzenegger when he was governor on education reform. So I contacted his office and I said, who do you know high up in Rhode Island? He said, well, we know the governor. I said, I'd like a meeting with him. So they set up a meeting for me with the governor of Rhode Island. I met with him and he said, I'm not interested in helping you with elder abuse. And I said, well, who else can I talk to? And he just said, I don't have time. So I contacted Schwarzenegger's office again. I said, who else do you know? And they said the Attorney General, a man named Patrick Lynch. I said, can you get me a meeting? So they got me a meeting with him the next day. We went in, we presented our information to him about this elder abuse problem. And Patrick Lynch says, well, what we need to do is we need to set up an office here in the Attorney General's office geared to the investigation and prosecution of elder abuse. And I said, well, great, that sounds terrific. And he says, yeah, but you have a snowball's chance in hell of getting it done. He says, hell will freeze over before this ever gets done. And I said, well, will you work with us? And he said, yes, I will. He said, I'll do this for you. I will get a Republican and a Democrat, members of our House, to sponsor a bill to create this office. But you have to come back and testify before a joint committee. And we said, fine. The date was set. The week before I'm supposed to go back to Providence, Rhode Island to speak before this joint committee, I'm in Michigan. I'm doing a mission at a church in Dexter, Michigan. And the day before I'm flying to Rhode Island, the staff of the church, the parish staff says, we're going to take you on a little tour, a little relaxation. So they're driving me around these places in Michigan. And you know one of the places they took me? A little town called Hell, Michigan. Yeah, Michigan has some weird towns. They have Climax, Michigan. They have all kinds of towns in Michigan. Anyway, we're in Hell, Michigan. And guess what it's doing there? Snowing. It's snowing. And then there's a sign in front of the post office that says, welcome to hell. So it's all covered in snow. So I asked them to stop, and I asked if anyone had I don't remember if we had phones or whatever, but I said, camera, they did. So I said, I want to go out and stand by that sign, welcome to hell, and I'd like you to take my photograph. So they said, fine. So here I'm walking in the snow, and I'm up to above my knees in snow getting to this sign, and I kind of wipe it off a little bit, and I kind of crouch on down there next to the sign, and they snap a picture. When we get back to the office, parish office, I said, can you make me 100 copies of that? And they did. The next morning, I'm on a flight to Providence, Rhode Island. I get picked up where I'm at the state capitol. And I say to the Attorney General, I said, may I make an opening announcement? And he said, yes. And so I said to the joint committee of both houses of the state assembly and whatever they're called, Senate, whatever it is. I said, when I first presented this to the Attorney General, Patrick Lynch sitting right here, He told me that it's a snowball's chance in hell that you would ever approve this funding of a new office geared to the investigation and prosecution of elder abuse. He said hell would freeze over before you would vote for that. So I said, I want you to know I was in hell yesterday. And I said, hell hath done frozen over. And we passed out the photographs that I brought to everyone. They started laughing, and I want you to know, and this to me is one of the many reasons I believe there is a God. They voted to approve the office. Rhode Island became the first state in the United States to have an office geared to the investigation and prosecution of elder abuse. Praise God, yes?